Hi everyone, so in this video we're going to be focusing on food labels. So this is a video in the series of videos based on the digestive system and nutrition. But in this one we're really going to be focusing on how to read a food label and how to compare food labels that have two different serving sizes. So food labels, they really help determine what foods you should eat. And by law, anything that has been processed must have a food label. So if you notice, anything that is packaging processed has to have a food label. The only thing that doesn't actually have food labels are fresh fruits and fresh meats. Anything else must have a food label, and it needs to have the list of ingredients that you have in the food product, and also the relative breakdown of what in the food is carbohydrates, what is fat, what is protein, and some of our other micronutrients. So, and it also shows the daily suggested value that you should have of that breakdown. Now, a lot of the time when you're trying to compare two different food labels, the serving sizes are not the same. There actually is no standard for a serving size, and that's why we have to do something called a conversion factor. And the conversion factor is actually very simple to calculate. When you're looking at your two products in question, what you do is you take your larger serving size, you divide it by your smaller serving size, and the number that you get is the number that you need to multiply everything in your smaller serving size so that they're now comparable. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do an example, and we're going to compare two different types of cereals. So we're going to be comparing Frosted Flakes, and we're going to be comparing Cheerios. Now, if we're looking at this right here, the first thing that you notice is your serving sizes. So if we're looking at the serving size of Frosted Flakes, it is 40 grams. If we notice the serving size of Cheerios, it is 30 grams. So we can't actually compare the numbers on a one-to-one basis. We need to actually look at calculating our conversion factor. So our conversion factor in this case, it's the larger serving size. So Frosted Flakes, so it would be the 40 grams, divided by the smaller serving size, which is our Cheerios at 30 grams, and we get 1.33. So what this means is that I need to multiply all of my Cheerios values by 1.33. And once I've done that, I actually have a comparable amount per category for serving size. So the first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at the first one, which one has more calories. So Frosted Flakes, per one serving size, it's 150 calories. For Cheerios, well, if I'm looking at it, based on its serving size, Cheerios has 120 calories. But I can't just write that number down. I have to do 120 times my conversion factor. So it would be 120 times 1.33. And I actually get 159.6 calories. So if I had the same amount of Frosted Flakes and Cheerios, Frosted Flakes would give me 150 calories per serving. Cheerios would give me 159.6 calories per serving. The next category we're going to look at is the fat content. So if I'm looking at for Frosted Flakes, I'm just really going to be focusing on really the total fat. So our total fat for Frosted Flakes is 0.5 grams. For Cheerios, our total fat is, in this case, 2 grams. So we have to take our 2 grams times 1.33, and I actually get 2.66 grams of fat found in my Cheerios. Our next category that we're going to look at, so again, our conversion factor is written right there, is we're going to look at the number of carbohydrates. So we are not separating our dietary fiber and our total sugars yet. We're just looking at total carbohydrates. So for Frosted Flakes, our total carbohydrates would be 33 grams. For our Cheerios, our total carbohydrates is 22 times our conversion factor, so that gives us 29.3 grams. Sugar. So now this is where we're going to be looking at our category of total sugar. So if we're looking at our category of total sugar in Frosted Flakes, our total sugar is our 3 grams. And in our Cheerios, our total sugar is 1 gram times our conversion factor of 1.33, which is 1.33 grams. The last two categories we're going to look at is protein is the first, and then we're going to be looking at sodium being our second. So for protein, for Frosted Flakes, we find our protein right here. It's 4 grams. For our Cheerios, our protein is also 4 grams, but I need to, again, times it by my conversion factor. So that gives me 5.32 grams. And then our last group is sodium. So if I'm looking at my sodium, I would find sodium as 250 milligrams in our Frosted Flakes. And in our Cheerios, if I'm looking at my sodium, it's right here. So 270 times by 1.33, I get 139.1 milligrams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically consolidate all of the values that we have. So here we have right now a recap of all of the different categories we just did the calculation for. So our calories, the highest category was our Cheerios, same for our fats. Now for the amount of carbs and sugars, there were Frosted Flakes. And for our protein and sodium, it was Cheerios. Now, when you're looking at all of these numbers together, to make an idea of what would be the best food to get would basically be dependent on what the question was. So if the question was which food had the lowest amount of calories, well, based on your calculation, your answer here would be Frosted Flakes. If your question was recommend a food out of the two cereals, recommend the cereal that would be more suited for a pro athlete who needs to be building muscle mass, well, then the obvious answer would be Cheerios because of the higher protein content. And if you're asking a question about an individual that is trying to reduce the number of carbohydrates they're getting, the answer would be, again, also Cheerios because Frosted Flakes had more carbohydrates. So I hope this helps with the comparison of your food labels, and make sure to watch the other videos in this series of the digestion system and nutrition. Thanks for watching.